how important is it to introduce some rigor to understand what those things mean versus, well, the platform said version B1, so that's all that really matters, and it was at 98% statistical significance, so that's all we really care about.
Yeah, I think it's hugely important. And I also think it's important not to overcomplicate it. So, you can do your results and your readouts and stick with something like statistical significance. But I think everybody that you're involving in your process, I think they have to understand the basic definitions. So, explaining what a confidence interval means. We have a test variation. We compare it to a control group. Do their confidence intervals overlap each other? What does that mean? I think explaining those things and making sure everyone's on the same page and understands it is really, really important. Um, Along with that, part of the rigor behind the statistics part of it is also running what we call some sample size estimates before a test even runs. So you can run, and this involves some calculations, but you can say, okay, based upon these statistics, like this 95% confidence level, let's say, and 80% power, we think the test is going to run for 3 weeks. That really helps you map out a roadmap, and that also shows your executive team that, hey, the process is here. You know, we know what we're doing. The data is tight. So I think some rigor behind the statistics is important, but I think it's also important not to overcomplicate things.
Yeah, I agree. So how do you strike that balance? Because I think as an executive, there's a trust factor and a feel good factor that you're looking for. That we're not just entrusting results to some algorithm. We don't know what is happening there. So how do you strike that balance between saying, "Hey, we've taken a real scientific approach to this," and going too far to the other side? I sat in on a meeting once where the lead of an optimization program was presenting to some executives and went on and on about Bayesian theory and p hacking and like uh, diving into all these details. And finally, one of the executives raised their hand and said, "Look, I may look stupid here. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, and I'm trying to figure out why I'm even sitting in this meeting." So, how do you strike that balance, especially in the beginning where it's such a new concept to so many people?
Yeah, pick a couple key concepts. As you're going through that, I was kind of smiling because you hear about like Monte Carlo simulations and two-tailed t-test. Yeah, you don't want to get into that. I don't think I'm going to use a maybe a poor analogy here, but they don't necessarily, your executives don't want to know how the sausage is made. I think there has to be trust in place. I think there's a few basic concepts to get down: statistical significance, confidence intervals, but there aren't that many. Like you don't need a lot of terms. You don't need to go in and wow them with your technical or statistical knowledge. I think they just need to know what a few key terms mean, and what does that mean to the data and the results. Like if I were in their shoes, I'd really want to know, like, hey, if we push a winning experience live, what's that mean? Like, what's it mean from a revenue standpoint? Are we going to see any variations? And that can all be explained pretty simply up front, with the test results.